Thank you, Dr. Sumana Ratnaika, and also to Karma Yonten Ling, yeah, who are hosting this session. And yes, let us commence with a few minutes of meditation. If you like to just bring your attention within, you may choose to close or half close your eyes and bring your attention close to your hearts. Observe the calm, the quietness within. Remain in this state of calm and quietness for a few moments with clear sense of awareness, whatever phenomena that arises, the sounds that you hear, feeling, sensation that arises, you have clear awareness of them. And your mind is not disturbed, not distracted. In this state of calm and quietness, we will commence the practice of metta, of loving kindness, wishing ourselves to be well and happy. As you wish yourselves well and happy, feel a sense of well-being and keep a smile in your hearts. Be free from anger, free from enmity, from hatred and grudges, free from sufferings, from fear, from worries, from anxieties, and just dwell in calm and peace. Just as you wish to be well, happy, calm, and peaceful, you will now spread out loving kindness all around you. Feel the calm, the quietness within, radiating above, below, and all around you. Feel the whole space around you, in your whole room, and just have the good wish that all beings be well and happy. Going beyond your room to the whole building, your whole house, and all the surrounding areas, your neighborhood. Reaching out to the whole city, the whole country, and beyond this country to all the neighboring countries, all the neighboring islands, covering the whole world, and all the realms of existence, known or unknown to us, seen or unseen, that may all beings be well and happy. All beings be well and happy. Fill your hearts with pure love and compassion, and cherish the good wish that all suffering beings be free from suffering. Those in sorrow be free from sorrow. Those in fear and dangers, may they be free from fear and dangers. That may all beings be well and happy. All beings be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Yes, spirituality in times of crisis. From a Buddhist perspective, spirituality is about transcending the self, transcending this false notion of self that gives rise to the ego. And it is this idea, this false notion of self, that gives rise to I, my, me, and mine. And this is the core, the reason for all sufferings in humanity. Theistic religions would consider spirituality in terms of the worship of God, the Almighty God. But non-theistic Buddhism, non-theistic religion like Buddhism, considers spirituality as a mental aspect of life. But in both theistic as well as non-theistic religions, there are common values. There are common values that will help us to go through, to develop our spirituality and to overcome suffering. The values such as faith or devotion, love, compassion, forgiveness, sacrifice, service, respect, humility, contentment, gratitude. These are common values in all the great spiritual traditions in the world. And that is what it helps us to reduce this idea of self, of I and mine. In times of crisis, when the prospect of losing our life as well as the lives of our loved ones, and not only that, all our material things, all the things which we have been working so hard, which we have accumulated throughout our life, and to think that we may lose all of them. Now, and not only that, where science and technology fails, where we cannot turn to science and technology in these times of crisis, then we need to turn to spirituality within, in our hearts. Yeah. So from the Buddhist perspective, we would turn to the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. There are different ways of going for refuge to the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. And there are also different levels how we go for refuge. But eventually, when we really are able to go for refuge to Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, then what happens is that faith, that confidence will give us the strength, the energy, the strength of mind to confront problems, difficulties. Because the element of faith, Shraddha in Pali, is one of the 5 mental faculties. Our mental faculties, Saddha, Virya, Sati, Samadhi, Panya. When we have faith and confidence in moral and spiritual values, then that faith will condition energy to arise, mental energy. And we use that mental energy to cultivate, to direct, in the cultivation of mindfulness. Mindfulness on the body, mindfulness on feelings, mindfulness on the mind, the state of mind, and mindfulness on the Dhamma, the 4 foundations of mindfulness. And as we cultivate mindfulness, then concentration will develop. And the concentration, samadhi, will condition panya, wisdom, to arise. It is the wisdom mind. It is the insight into the nature of life and the nature around us that is so very important in times of crisis. So when we talk about wisdom in Buddhism, the core understanding of the 4 noble truths, that there is suffering in life, dukkha, there is the cause, there is an end to the suffering, and there is a way to end suffering. So, we can see before the manifestations of sufferings in the world today, in this time of the COVID-19 pandemic around. Yeah. All the fears, all the worries, the anxieties, eventually we can trace it to that craving, that grasping phenomena. Yeah. So that is why it's so important to turn to spirituality. Because all the material things we understand, we see, they are all subject to change. They are impermanent and subject to change. But the things which we have worked so hard, all the material things, all the possessions, house, property, and the emotions that we have invested in our loved ones for years after years. So when we think that we may have to lose all these things, then that fear will arise. So that is why in this time of crisis, every time that there's a crisis, whether it be natural or man-made crisis, natural disasters, two things arise. There is, on the one hand, there's a danger. The other is opportunity. So, for example, in this time, we are making use of this opportunity. Without this COVID-19 virus problem, we won't have this opportunity to meet so many of you from different countries in one time. Yeah? Yeah. And this COVID-19 virus have also taught us a lesson. The lesson of interrelation, how we are all interconnected. Yeah. When everything goes on well, we never feel that something that happens in Australia can actually influence things in Sweden. Something that happened way in what you call China can go up to America and all around the world. Yeah. That's Buddhism. That's dependent origination or interdependent origination. Yeah. Everything depends on this causes and effect. Yeah. So if we can understand this, if we take this opportunity, now this is what Dr. Sumana is doing, making use of this opportunity to share the Dhamma with others. And it is so good to see how you all get together, Theravada, Mahayana, Vajrayana, yeah, and I think this is the first time so far during this COVID-19 crisis, we have done online courses. We have conducted online courses and online meditation retreats, but this is the first time that we are connecting with Tibetan centers like Karma, Yonten, Ling, and they have a very authentic master teacher in Kandro Rinpoche, and I have heard about the teacher and how they also teach not only the Vajrayana teachings, they teach the basis of sutras, the suttas and tantras, yeah. And our friend from the, what do you call, Vipassana Center, yeah, Stefan. Thank you all. Actually, you all have produce a small video to tell that you are joining us in the 24-hour meta. Now, these are great opportunities. And so despite the adverse condition that is taking place around in the world, yeah, and there's also opportunity for us to transcend barriers, yeah. So Buddha Dhamma Sangha, to us as a Buddhist, when we have faith, when we have confidence in the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, then our mind becomes strong. Yeah. I remember, and when I was ill, when I was very sick, and whatever I take, whatever medicine I take, and still the pain was there. And the only thing that gave me the kind of calm me down was actually the refuge. But we always, we do things in a very traditional manner. When I was in Sri Lanka, then I practiced in Thailand, in Burma, and we recite that formality, Buddhang Saranang Gacchami, Dhammang Saranang Gacchami, Sanghang Saranang Gacchami. Yeah. But when we are in trouble, when we are in problem, and we go for refuge in so many other ways, yeah, so many other things. And that is why it is so very important. We must always connect ourselves with Buddha Dhamma Sangha. And this is what I encourage all the young ones, as well as the not so young ones, to keep in their minds always, before they sleep, when they get out of their house, just to have the salutation to Buddha Dhamma Sangha. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dhammaya, Namo Sanghaya. Yeah. You know, some years ago, when I visited the Karmapa Center in Tibet, in Surpur, and at that time Karmapa was very small, very young. There was a tutor there. So I asked Karmapa's, His Holiness Karmapa's tutors, he says, can you teach me, can you give me one mantra? Yeah. And because I have heard about mantras is about protection for your mind. Mantra. Yeah. So you know what mantra he gave me? He said, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dhammaya, Namo Sanghaya. Then I thought, oh, this I know. Yeah. You know, I have been doing this. I received this mantra before I became a monk. Yeah. When I was studying in New Zealand, I met a lay teacher. And this is how he taught me. Yeah. I was with him there, and we traveled across the length and breadth of New Zealand. And we were traveling hitchhiking. Yeah. One day in the evening, we were trying to get a ride. So I went out to the roadside and put my thumb and right. But no car stopped. And it was getting dark. Then my lay teacher told me, you must take refuge You recite this, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dhammaya, Namo Sanghaya. And he also said, Dhammo Have Rakati Dhammachari. So then I did what he said. I put my hands up. When the next car comes, I say, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dhammaya, Namo Sanghaya, Dhammo Have Rakati Dhammachari. And the car stopped. Yeah. You know, I would think that this is just a one-off thing. Yeah. But ever since that time, I did this again and again, again and again. Every time when there's fear, I just think Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dhammaya, Namo Sanghaya. And now, even up to today, I don't go out without paying homage to Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. And when I go into a car, I will always have Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dhammaya, Namo Sangha. Yeah? So always I feel the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. So very important. Now this is what. And I know that some people have come to Buddhism, and that including myself. I've come to Buddhism through, I appreciated the intellectual aspect, the very rational aspect of what the Buddha taught. But we need to have that other devotional, the faith, devotional aspect as well. Yeah? So the other thing is this that I mentioned about when you have faith in the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, you go for refuge in the Buddha, you naturally will also go for refuge in the Dhamma. And it is in the Dharma that you learn the true nature about yourself, the true nature about the world around us. All the sufferings that we have gone through and which we are going through, and not only that, the suffering that we will go through in the future, they are all conditioned by ignorance. And it is not about ignorance of anything and everything under the sun. It is about the ignorance of the nature of mind, the ignorance about the nature of our life and the things around us. Like, for example, the law of cause and effect, the law of karma, yeah, which all of you must have heard about. But when we talk about crisis, when we talk about disasters, especially in terms of natural disasters, right, we have to understand there are 5 things, what we call 5 cosmic orders, pancha niyama. And it is good if we can understand this. The law of karma is one such natural cosmic order. It is called cosmic order because it is a natural law. There is no lawgiver. The law of karma or the law of moral causation, good begets good, evil begets evil. You don't need somebody to punish you. The punishment is extra. If we lie, if we steal, we lie, we kill, what happens? There is this natural law the moral law, we feel a sense of remorse. We feel that sense of guilt, even though nobody knows about it. Yeah. And it disturbs our mind. Yeah. So that is what the natural occurring moral laws. Yeah. Then there is also, so karma, the law of karma or moral causation is one such natural law. Then there's also bija niyama. Bija niyama is about genetic order. Here, when we plant the seed, apple seed, we don't get what you call orange tree. Yeah. I think you all know that. Yeah. Just genetic order. This is a natural order. But what happens when we interfere with this natural order? Yeah. You know how we interfere with this natural order? Genetic engineering. Yeah. Genetically modified things. That is how this COVID-19 virus was produced. It is not just natural phenomena. It is the intervention, the human, due to ignorance, due to greed, hatred, delusion. And so they experimented on these things. This is how viruses came about, these things. But at the same time, we must also appreciate, because human evolution actually depended on virus and bacteria. Yeah. It is because of all the viruses and bacteria millions and millions of years ago that we have developed the kind of immune system. Yeah. Of course, I just read about the situation in Sweden. Yeah. And there are problems there, as just there in various parts of the world. And people are hoping for what you call the vaccine. Yeah. But please remember, whilst it is important in this time of crisis to observe physical hygiene, like washing your hands, social distancing, wearing mask. You all don't wear mask. Yeah. And that is important. But there is also what we call mental hygiene. We have to do something for our mind to cleanse. All the time we need to cleanse what? Anger, hatred, grudges, jealousies, envy, fear, anxiety. We need something, we need the tools to cleanse our mind. Yeah. Unfortunately, you can use all the detergent, you can use all the what you call alcohol but you cannot clean that fear, that anxiety that you have. Yeah. And that is what metta, loving kindness, which we started off just now, just to wish yourself be well, happy. Yeah. If you look into the internet about metta, loving kindness meditation, there are now scientifically proven benefits for the health as well as the interpersonal relationships. Yeah. And in this time of crisis, when we are faced with a lockdown and restricted movements, yeah, people have to stay at home. Sometimes just a few people can be a crowd, yeah. And sometimes you stay alone. And when you are not able to interact with others, you stay alone. Loneliness, you feel that loneliness comes in. Yeah. So this problem about loneliness, overcrowding, yeah, and because you have your loved ones around you who care for you, and they will tell you, you should not do this, you should not go there, you should not do this, and you get very angry with them, yeah, especially the younger ones, yeah. And that's how you see every day there is this aversion that comes up. So how do we manage this aversion? Metta, loving kindness. Just now we did a little sitting on metta, but we need to apply that in our day-to-day life. And how do we do that? Every time when we get upset, every time our mind gets ruffled, we get upset, angry a little bit, we must be mindful. And we must tell ourselves, metta, be well, be happy, be free from anger. In other words, we must keep on reminding ourselves. Yeah. And if we can do this, constant reminder, mindfulness and metta mindfulness, this will go a long way to help us to confront crisis, not only this COVID-19 problem. I believe that this problem is only a wake-up call to wake us up to the reality of our existence and to prepare us for even greater challenges. And the problems of this pandemic, the impact, the challenges we have to face for years to come. Yeah. And that is why we are promoting the practice of metta, loving kindness. It is the love that breaks the divide. It is the love without boundaries. Yeah. And if we do this, one important aspect, the spiritual aspect of metta is this. When we suffuse ourselves, immerse ourselves with metta, just to feel the sense of well-being, and then spread out above, below, and all around, uddang, adoja, tiriyancha. We suffuse ourselves in all directions. And what happens? Actually, we are vibrating at a different frequency. We are raising our frequency to another higher level. And at that frequency of love and compassion, we will be connected with higher beings. They are greater masters, devas, bodhisattvas. Right? They are all breathing at that frequency, the frequency of love and compassion. And that is how we are able to tap and we be able to receive the blessings, guidance, and protection in times of crisis. In fact, if you recall, all the major crises that took place in the world, such as the 9/11, the tsunami that happened in the Andaman Islands that affected Thailand, Sri Lanka, Burma, in 2004, December 2004, and the tsunami in Fukushima. All the major disasters, we find that there are always survivors. There are always miraculous survivors that can tell you the story. These are the work of what they call divine intervention. And this is what we believe, that when we practice metta, loving kindness, there will be the blessings, there will be the protection of devas. In times of crisis, three things are important. One, blessings. Two, guidance and protection. And where do we get the highest protection? From Buddhist perspective, the highest protection that we get is actually through the Dhamma. When one lives in accord with the Dhamma, with natural phenomena, then there will be protection. Just now I explained to you the natural orders, the 5 cosmic orders, which I have not finished. The first I mentioned is about the natural law with regards to cause and effect, especially the moral causation. Good begets good, evil begets evil. That's a natural law. Then Bija Niyama, we talked about the genetic order. And the third one is, it is Uttuniyama. Uttuniyama is the thermal or calorific order, the order with regards to the heat. Now this is what we are also facing. This planet Earth is also facing. Thermal. And this thermal or calorific order explains the seasonal changes, right? It explains the current, the ocean current, the heat that comes up and creates the wind and current. And now when we talk about climate change, the inputs from human, what you call pollution, carbon dioxide emission. But that is just one factor, because there are also this natural order, the natural cycle that this planet is going through. Yeah. Every so many 100,000 years, this planet faces what you call ice age. Yeah. So this is a natural order. Yeah. Whilst we can see the what you call the human contribution, there is also the natural phenomena that's taking place around. Yeah. And that is why we need to prepare ourselves. How do we prepare ourselves? There is no place around in the world that is safe. Yeah. The only way to prepare ourselves is actually through our mind. We need to develop this mind, to purify this mind, that will eventually lead us to our final liberation, at least to sow, to plant the seed of liberation in our hearts. Yeah. Now, the other order is actually the order of the mind, Chitta Niyama. Chitta Niyama is the natural laws that governs the mind, the workings of the mind. Now that we are almost addicted to all this technology, so we are not able to communicate mind to mind. That's what you call telepathy. Yeah. In the old times, yeah. And this is something it's very important also to learn in times of crisis. We got to go beyond these electronic gadgets. When you have free time, do meditate. And then you can send thoughts of loving kindness first. Yeah. Because when the Wi-Fi goes off, when electricity goes off, we have no connection. And when your loved ones, you cannot track down where your loved ones, you will feel very upset, very angry, very, very anxious. And this is where we need to turn to spirituality within, to tap the resources of our own minds. Yeah. Because we all know this. Quantum physics is now teaching us these things. Yeah. When we think of something, this thought has force. It is not just, it has a thought force. And the sum total of all our thoughts we generate throughout the world. Just as there is the atmosphere, there is also the psychosphere. The psychosphere, all the thoughts and all the pollutions, anger, hatred, jealousy, they're all there. I think 10 years ago, when I visited the institute in California, they had something, they had some kind of satellite that they are able to measure what you call human consciousness, the thoughts, these things. And they said that there were a few events, such as the 9/11 event, and also when Princess Diana met the accident, there was a reaction, a global reaction. And then this, what you call satellite, were able to pick up that there's some difference, something that is happening in the psychosphere. Yeah. And that is what we have to understand this, how our mind, just as we all generate all sorts of negative thoughts, negative energies, we can also generate positive energies, positive thoughts. And that's where I like to come back later on. So this is the order of the mind, chitta niyama, that the mind has the natural ability to communicate, just as how dolphins communicate in the oceans. Yeah? And we have the ability to see what our physical eye cannot see. That's what we call clairvoyant. That's how the Buddha was able to see his past lives. And not only the Buddha, his disciples. And there are monks who train themselves, who are able to go and look back in their past lives. At least some 8 past lives they can be. Yeah. So like that, clairvoyance, clairaudience, yeah, telepathy, they are all the order of the mind. Chitta niyama. There is nobody needs to control, nobody, no agents for this. It is the naturally occurring. When we train our mind in a certain manner, this is what we experience. Then there's one more order. It is Dhamma niyama. This can be called the spiritual order. Yeah. Take for example of this is Satchakriya. Satchakriya is the act of truth. Sometimes there are classic example of the Buddha. When the Buddha was confronted with some crisis, when the Buddha was confronted with what you call somebody accused him something or threatens him, he doesn't fight back. Like for example, you must have heard the enlightenment of the Buddha. Before the Buddha gained his enlightenment, Mara attacked and all sorts of demons came. And what did the Buddha do? The Buddha just took his hand and pointed to the earth, Bhumi Sparsha Mudra, and just have this act of truth. And just by the act of truth, all the armies of Maras were defeated. Yeah. So even up to today, when people have some problem, and if they have been living a pure, a dharmic way of life, they can make that act of truth and they will overcome the problem. Yeah. So this is a spiritual order. We cannot understand this intellectually, rationally. Yeah. And also there are signs. There are certain signs when the Buddha was born. There are certain signs that happens when he attained enlightenment, when he attained Mahaparinibbana, how certain flowers bloom during his birth, and it was not seasonal. Special flower, Ashoka bloom, yeah? They are spiritual orders, yeah. They are not miracles. So when we understand these orders, 5 of them, yeah, and Bija Niyama, genetic order, Utu Niyama, thermal order, then Karma Niyama, that is the law of moral causation, cause and effect, Then Dhamma niyama, Chitta niyama, and Dhamma niyama. When we understand this, the understanding of this phenomena, we will not be caught by surprise. All the phenomena that takes place, it is actually natural things. Yeah. And because of the greed, because when there's more greed, there's more hatred, yeah, then there will be imbalance. The imbalance in nature. So how can we make a difference? This is where we need each and every one of you and to contribute. We ought to contribute towards this. Your positive thoughts, your thoughts of loving kindness. And that is where on the last weekend of this month, on Saturday, 26th of May, we will be launching from Malaysia, one world, one time, one metta. So wherever you are, we like to invite you, if you can participate at 8 p.m. local time, 8 p.m. in Stockholm, 8 p.m. in London, 8 p.m. Sunil is there in London, yeah, and then 8 p.m. in Kuala Lumpur, in Singapore, in Hong Kong. Then it will be metta around the world, round the clock, yeah. That means what we need you to do is to spend half an hour from 8 o'clock to 8:30 from wherever you are. You can sit, you can stand, whatever position, and just to calm down your mind and have good thoughts. If you can cultivate, if you know how to cultivate loving kindness, fine. Otherwise, do your own prayer in your own way. And then the important thing is to dedicate this for peace, for harmony, for stability in the world. Yeah. And so that is how we all can reach out and one another. And I truly rejoice with Dr. Samana Ratnaika have this opportunity. And I also see our friend Sunil Karia, yeah, from London, yeah. And then okay, I have finished my part, and maybe if you have any questions, we are happy to take, yeah.
Thank you very much, Venerable. Very informative and encouraging, refreshing Dhamma speech. And we are honored that you accepted our invitation and gave this talk. And now let us have a question time. And before I forget, I should also mention Karma Yota Ling helped us, Mr. Leif Magnussen helped us to organize this. I mean, as usual, we have this session every Sunday, but especially today, because Venerable Mahinda accepted our invitation. So it has become like this, and it's a great opportunity for all of us. And let us, welcoming Bhante's invitation to practice metta together on the 26th at 8 p.m. At the same time, if you have questions, please feel free to ask questions.
You know, that is what we...
yeah. Sorry, Bhante. Yeah?
That's what we call collective consciousness.
Wonderful.
Yeah, collective consciousness. If we can meditate together, yeah, especially if we can meditate together at the same time, yeah, then we create a kind of collective consciousness, and it will have a strong effect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's wonderful, Bhante. Please feel free to ask questions. Before you think about questions, let me ask Bhante if Bhante can tell us when Bhante came to Sweden and Scandinavian countries first. That was long time ago, as I heard, and still Bhante can remember, I think, your visit and what you did at that time and all that. Would like to just get a little detail about it. At the same time, we'll let others think about questions.
Yeah. Thank you. And you helped me to recall how many years ago? 1981. How many years ago?
Yeah, it should be about
40.
40, nearly 40
Yeah.
years.
40 years ago. Yeah. And that was the time when I had the opportunity to attend World Conference on Religion and Peace. Yeah. So whenever I have this opportunity to attend world conferences in New York and in other countries, I will take that opportunity also to move around, to travel around. So in 1981, yeah, I took this opportunity to travel to Switzerland, and then from there I made friends, and with the, what you call Buddhist, the president of the Swiss Buddhist Union, I stayed with him and Monsieur George Bay, and in Lausanne, and then after that I made connections with the Buddhist groups in Europe, yeah, and so that is how I I moved on from. I made France. I made Paris as I went to what you call the Vietnamese temple in Joinville-le-Pont. And then I spent 66 days all around in Europe. Yeah, I made Joinville-le-Pont, the Vietnamese center, as my base, and I moved up. And then I was teaching meditation in what you call in Freiburg in Brisgau, in Germany. And then when I moved up to Denmark, I met a Lutheran pastor in Odense. Odense is where Hans, what you call Stevenson, right, was born. And this pastor, he was already in his 70s. Oh, and every day he will meditate. So when I came, then he inquired about meditation and so on. Then he said, why don't you take over my place? And actually he offered me 50 acres of land, yeah, with a big manor house in Denmark. So I thought this is an opportunity. So that is how I went to what you call from Denmark. I went to Malmo, yeah, from Copenhagen, yeah. I give talks all around. I did one round, and I think I visited Sweden twice. Then once to Borgheim. Borgheim is actually in Norway, yeah. But I think we went through Stockholm that way. I do not know. And then, so I have very good memories with our. Only thing I cannot remember the people whom what you call hosted me in Borgheim, and also in Malmo. Peter Tauchuan, yes, my good my friend here. He was the one who met my what you call my lay teacher, yeah. And later he communicated with me and he said that, yeah. So I have good memories in Sweden. Sweden is one country that did not, that was spared through the World War I and World War II. And that is why they are so well lit up in the night. It's like heaven, yeah. And yeah. So
I think Swedes are very proud about it.
oh
Yes,
yeah, I think you yes,
yes. I mean,
yeah,
Swedish people
yes.
hearing all this become proud. Yes. Sorry. Is there anybody?
Sunil has a question.
Yeah, yeah. Please, Sunil.
Bhante, thank you so much for such a wonderful talk. And I think after 40 years, I'm seeing you for the second time in 2 months. It's a great blessing to see you, and you look amazingly young still, and I think the metta must be the secret behind it. So I just wanted to say how wonderful the work that you and Dr. Sumana and everybody else around the world during this pandemic period. With regard to metta practice, Bhante, and I think it's a huge opportunity, as you clearly said. Our minds are polluted much more than our bodies, these days, because of so many things. And I think the mental hygiene you emphasize is wonderful, and I think that message should go out to the whole world. My question is, I mean, there are actually two types of metta practice, Bhante, as you know very well. One is called metta Cheto Samadhi, loving practice, loving kindness, just for the Samadhi purpose. And then there is Metta Cheto Vimutti. That's actually what is really emphasized in the Buddhist context. The Buddha actually talks about Mettaya Bhikkhave Cheto Vimuttiya Asevitaya, etc. So could you elaborate on that a little bit more, so that we would know a bit more background on metta, Bhante? Thank you so much.
Actually, my knowledge of metta came about first of all through my lay teacher before I became a monk. Yeah, and when I was very young, I was very hot-tempered. I get angry very easily. Yeah, and nobody could help me. My parents, my grandparents, and they could not help me. And it was not until I went to university, and it was sometime during my university days that I met a lay teacher from Sri Lanka. And he was the one who taught me metta, loving kindness. And he said that we must radiate loving kindness and to all our everyone. Yeah. First feel the sense of well-being and then radiate to everyone. And I have been practicing that since that time. And I don't sleep, I don't wake up without radiating metta, thinking of my parents, my teachers, and all others. And then when I had the opportunity to travel with my lay teacher all through the United States, the 48 states on the mainland, yeah, we were, at that time, uh, we were invited by, hosted by Jose Silva Mind Control Group, yeah, and so I was driving for 17,000 miles in 6 months, all through the 48 states of America. And everyone I see on the street and just wish them, may they be well, may they be happy, like that, yeah. But and it was only later I became a monk that I went to practice, and then I learned a little bit about how we should direct our mind, yeah, in the different directions, in the 10 different directions, and then starting with yourself, and then you go on to somebody who is what you call uh, respected, your teachers, somebody respectable one. somebody who has touched your life, you think of them and wish them well, happy, and so on. And then after that, you go on to neutral, and then to somebody who is difficult, eventually even up to your enemies. And I was very surprised. Sometime few months ago, somebody sent me a poster, and this poster is actually from America, from the American Heart Association. And you know what they say? Practice loving kindness, starting with yourself, and then go on with your love, people near to you, and then go on. And exactly what the Buddha taught. And they say that's good for your heart. Yeah. Then when I was in Thailand, and this is how I heard Ceto Vimutti. Yeah. When we were practicing in Thailand, then this monk told me, and they just recite this word, and metta butto parisutto ceto vimutto, metta dhammo parisutto ceto vimutto, metta sangho parisutto ceto vimutto. Of course, you can translate these things, but it is the metta of the Buddha. Ceto vimutto is actually free from thoughts. Eventually, when we cultivate loving kindness, we have to start. First of all, we wish somebody be well and happy. We create a thought, but we must connect with our heart base. So we feel it is the heart that feels. So when we can start to feel a sense of calmness, a sense of well-being, then we know we are connecting our brain, our what you call our mind, and it's actually the brain and the heart. Yeah. And then eventually, when we cultivate loving kindness, we start off with, we can do different directions, or we can do individuals. And then towards the end, we just end up with, may all beings be well and happy. All beings be well and happy, well and happy, until there is no more thoughts. Actually, from there, you can get into metta jhanas, and then you can get on to other jhanas. Or what is very useful is this: after you have, your mind is free from thoughts, no more thoughts, this thing. When you come out of that state, now this is the state that we do when we are praying for people, when we are, what you call, some people is not well, some people we have prayer lists, right? So after we practice metta, when we have no more thoughts, then we just look and just wish, just have the wish that they all be well. And whatever problems they have, may they overcome this problem. And sometimes we do not know what is good for them. So we just wish whatever that is best for them. Yeah. And we have that sort of thought. And that thought, when we have this kind of thought without really much effort, this thing, it is very powerful. It is very powerful. And eventually, once you have cultivated that, then you, in your day to day, when you walk, when you see something, it is just natural. It happens just naturally, without your really having to think that, oh, may you be well, may you be happy anymore. So it becomes really. But so what I do is this, and when in times of crisis, when we really face the danger of this thing, then this mind, I just do this, I just remember metta buddho parisutto ceto vimutto. It is the metta of the Buddha that is pure and that is beyond thoughts. No more thoughts, this thing. And you get into a very empty state. And that empty state, that state of emptiness, that state of clarity is so very important. That is actually the real spirituality that we eventually must come up with. And I think that's what you call our friends from Karma Yonten Ling very well acquainted with that. Yeah. And just be, that is what the Buddha said, the nature of mind. Buddha said, Pabasarang chittang bhikkhave. Buddha said the mind is pabasarang, is bright, luminous, right? And all the other defilements, they are all agantukhet, that is, they are all adventitious. So the true nature of mind is just like the vast sky, the blue open sky, vastness. It is the clouds. All our defilements, our anger, hatred, delusion, jealousies, envy, stinginess, they are all clouds. They are clouding that sky. And because there are layers and layers, layers and layers of this, actually, we cannot see the nature, the true nature of mind. Yeah. And we have to come back again to that state of mind. And how to come back to state of mind? We got to clear those layers. Why metta is so useful during this time is this. And metta has the power to mature, to help the maturity of your perfections, the paramitas, whatever perfections, merits that you have done. It has the power to bring it to maturity. And that is what we need in times of crisis. Yeah? Because when we are angry, just give you an example, when we are angry, if you are angry with one another, say for example, you have a partner or between husband and wife, if you get angry with one another, you totally forget all the goodness that your partner or your wife has done for you. Totally forget. And it is not until you begin to have some appreciation and gratitude, then it will start to clear out. Now, from life to life, we all have got a lot of this kind of layers and layers of anger, hatred, grudges, these things. And that has actually, make us so, what you call stress in this thing. Yeah. So when we do metta, loving kindness, that is why the formula to be free from anger, free from enmity, free from, then it helps to clear those layers and layers, layers and layers, until eventually you reach that level where it is just empty. Because the real compassion comes from emptiness. Because when you really see emptiness, when you can see everything is emptiness in the sense that there's not nothingness, it is that nothing exists by itself. They are all conditioned. Yeah. So when we can see all things are conditioned, then we will have that compassion. Why people are suffering, why people are clinging on to so many things. That's why they are suffering like anything. So naturally the compassion will arise. Yeah. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Bhante. It's really wonderful. Thank you.
I must say that I must thank Dr. Sunil. Dr. Sunil, when I was studying in Sri Lanka, he was the one who taught me about child psychology. I still remember. I still remember, yeah. And I still advise the young, what you call couples that come, yeah. And then I remember what Dr. Sunil taught me about child psychology and how the problems of children and sibling rivalry and so on. And it's very useful, the teaching, yeah. And so great to know now you are the chaplain in what you call in the, is it army? Is it the
It's
British Army?
all three services. The Queen's military, yeah, whole of the military, Bhante.
Wow.
Thank you very much. And I couldn't get my battalion today to honor you, but I will do it at some point.
Please do. Please teach the army people metta, loving kindness. That's the greatest
Yes.
bomb.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sunil has a crowd of, I think, a group of 5,000 Buddhists in the army, in
Really?
the forces. Yeah.
Let me tell you, yeah. I met one American soldier. One American soldier came to see me some time ago. And he said to me, he said, Bhante, I fought in 2 wars. Yeah, I do not know which war he fought. And he said, I never killed anyone. And he said, when the bombs and the grenades were flying and this thing, they always missed me. And he survived. So this is something I mentioned to you about this is a kind of divine intervention. If you practice the Dhamma and you have Dhamma, you need not know this word Dhamma. You just do in your own way the goodness. We all have this goodness in our hearts, right? And if you can just do that and keep on doing, follow your heart, and then you will be protected. Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely wonderful. Thank
But
you.
there are some suggestions in the chat that, I mean, suggestions means little correction. We need to know when exactly on the 26th, that, I mean, of this month, not in May. Bhante by mistake mentioned May, but it should be December, because somebody wanted to just ask about it too. So December 26th, we will have this group meditation, which is called Metta for the whole world, wishing honestly peace and harmony for the entire world. So Bhante Mahinda's suggestion is at 8:00 p.m. on the 26th to sit together and do this sort of radiation of loving kindness. And earlier, actually, we suggested to our groups here 6:00. So we'll start the program of chanting Metta Sutta, etc. on the 26th at 6 p.m. And even at 8:00, we may, some of us may join the group meditation for Metta, spreading Metta for the whole world. Any more questions? Now our time is almost over. If you have any short questions, Bhante can also answer any other questions in brief, I think. Normally we conclude the program by this time at 11:30 in Swedish time, but still we can spend about 10 more minutes, I hope, and we'll get the blessings of Bhante at the end.
Well, if there's no more, if there's no more questions, perhaps we can conclude and dedicate merits. Yeah.
Yes, Bhante.
So just bring your minds within once more. Bring your attention close to your hearts and observe the calm, the quietness within. In the calmness of mind, just spread out loving kindness all around you. Have the good wish that may all beings be well and happy. In your wholesome state of mind, share the merits with all the Dhamma protectors, all the guardian deities, those who have been guiding and protecting you, including the guardian deities in your locality where you live. May they all rejoice in this merits, and in so rejoicing, May they give blessings and protection to all. Let us also dedicate merits for the spiritual well-being and happiness of all our departed relatives, teachers, and friends. That wherever they are born, may they have opportunity to receive Dhamma, to be guided, to grow in the Dhamma that will pave the way for them to be liberated from the cycle of birth and death one day. With all your good thoughts and the merits that you have acquired, please make your wish, make your aspiration that all these merits will pave the way for you to have opportunities and be able to further develop and purify your minds. Purify your minds from the tendencies of grasping and various forms of clingings and attachments, from the tendencies of anger, of hatred and grudges, and the tendencies of delusion, cultivating the qualities of generosity, loving kindness, and wisdom, so that you will have the purity of mind that will give you the strength to confront and overcome whatever difficulties, whatever obstacle that may arise in your lives. That you will grow in wisdom and compassion, be able to make good use of your lives, not only for your own happiness, but also for the welfare, for the happiness of the many. May all the merits pave the way for you to progress in your lives, succeed in what you do, be able to fulfill your worldly duties, responsibilities, and at the earliest opportunity, may the seed of enlightenment be sown in your hearts so that you'll be able to walk the noble path and be free from all sufferings one day, and also have the wisdom, the compassion to help others, whoever that comes by your way. Please make your wish, make your aspirations accordingly. Whatever immediate problems or difficulties that you have, or whoever, your loved ones, whoever that you know are in difficulty, please keep them in your mind as we invoke blessings of the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha for their well-being. And Bhavatu Sabba Mangalam Rakantu Sabba Devata Sabba Buddha Nubhavena Sada Soti Bhavantute Bhavatu Sabba Mangalam Rakantu Sabba Devata Sabba Dhamma Nubhavena Sada Soti Bhavantute Bhavatu Sabba Mangalam Rakantu Sabba Devata Sabba Sangha Nubhavena Sada Soti Bhavantute Akasataja Bhummata Deva Naga Mahedika Punyantang Namo Ditwa Chirang Rakantu Loka Sasana Akasataja Bhummata Deva Naga Mahedika Punyantang Anamo Ditwa Chirang Rakantu Desana Akasataja Bhummata Deva Naga Mahedika Punyantang Anamo Ditwa Chirang Rakantu Mang Paranti Idang me nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Abhivadana sirisa nichang vada pachayino. Chataro dhamma vadanti ayu vano sukang balam. Ayurarogya samparika sampati mevacha. Atto nibbana sampatti iminate samijatu. Sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
By the power of the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, and all the merits that you have acquired, may your wish, may your aspirations come true, and may you all have long, healthy, happy lives, and continue to grow the Dhamma's path and be free from all sufferings one day. This is a great opportunity that we can take in this time of crisis. And it is through the COVID-19 the virus pandemic that has brought all of us together, and that I also am aware there are so many good things that are taking place in the world today. And yesterday I was with the Catholics, with interreligious forums, with the Catholics, the Muslims, the Hindus, and others. And so this is a time. This is a time that it's a great opportunity if we come together, one mind, one heart, and very important is our aspiration, because whatever happens, it is our aspiration that will give the direction where we go. Yeah, and so until we meet again, and yeah, I hope we will meet again at what you call, if not in person, at least in our minds, on the 26th of what you call December, and then 8 p.m., and then maybe again in the Meta Convention, yeah? And so far, our friends in Portugal are now thinking about how to organize this Meta Convention. And I really hope that Sweden, to Norway, and our friends in Norway, I thank you all, and then I think England, yeah, so far we must have groups from England as well, and all others joined, and I think a great thing. Okay, thank you all so much. Suki Hoto. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Bhante. We are honored, and we are very grateful for Bhante's presence and accepting our invitations to address us all. At the same time, I must thank Brother Chi Lui, who helped us a lot to extend this to YouTube even. Now, when we did not have enough room in our Zoom program, we thought of extending the whole session into YouTube. And Brother Chi Lui helped us a lot for that. And we had a meeting with our host, Mr. Leif Magnusson, yesterday, together with Brother Chi Lui. We had these discussions and managed to get all these extended to YouTube. And thank you very much for that. And also, I should thank all of your presence. Of course, we can't name you separately, but I must also mention with honor that several venerable nuns and monks are present here. Chief Venerable from Vietnam, from the Geneva International Buddhist Center, Switzerland, is here, Bhante Vimala Ratana. And there is also some other Bhantes, venerables, and nuns appearing here, some from China and some from Burma and some from various other countries. Of course, from Australia itself, there are some participants. So Venerable Vimala Ratana is appearing now from yes, Geneva Buddhist Center, International Buddhist Center. Bhante, thank you for your presence.
Thank you, Suman. You are doing such a great work, bringing this wonderful, Dhamma gurus to these sessions. And thank you for all the great work, hard work with your team and everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. So we'll meet again as Bhante suggested. Let us hope that we can continue like this, and we may invite Bhante again whenever Bhante has more time to spend with us. I think we all would like to listen to you again, even after 26th of this month, and so on. Anyway, I should keep it short now because the time is over. So Bhante has blessed us all, and thank you very much for your presence, and especially the venerable monks and venerable nuns' presence. Thank you very much indeed. See you again.
Okay, have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, right.
Thank you.